Hi, my name is Keith Miles. I'm a management consultant and author. I specialize in the area of change management and strategy execution. We're going to continue our digital transformation leadership series, and we're going to try to leverage digital outcomes to bring our organizations as strongly as possible into the new economy. Today, we're going to talk about leadership and how you balance that. So we're going to talk about culture. We did that. We're going to talk about leadership and break that into several elements over the next few weeks. But we started with culture. Why? Well, culture is actually foundational. We mentioned last week it was a moving average. People pay attention a little bit to what you say, a lot about what you do, and what previous managers did, and the reinforcing elements that they left in place that affect their behavior and affect their choices. So if you know that, you can lead more effectively. And we need to talk about leadership in terms of a balance in the entire environment. So let's go. So what's the environment map look like? Very simply, IT looks like this: in, out, up, over, and through. So let's go. What do we have to keep up? Well, it's security, apps, help desk, it's architecture, comms, all those things and more have to be architected, very important. And then in terms of processes, we have a hybrid, always have a hybrid between what's existing and optimizing that, and what's new and developing new applications. And that's always been a part of IT. It's not just Agile that's brought that in. In terms of intake, it's always external. We have customers and industry changes that are percolating down into our strategy. At the same time, business units and functional areas have requests and requirements that changes, that all that comes into our strategy, and all that goes into intake. And that's very important. At the same time, we're actually sending people out into our business units to consult and help them formulate requests and projects so that they go into the PMO more effectively. So that's all important. That's part of the intake into IT. And then what we're going to do is we're going to develop new applications. That's the Agile, all the new things that we're doing, whether that's mobile or whatever. Then we're going to optimize existing. Now, it's important because most of our financial requirements are met by what's already out there, and we're just optimizing that. So that's very important. And then all these other areas are important too. We monitor and manage at the top in terms of oversight. We monitor, we analyze, we look at this, and we do analytics, making sure we understand the environment and how people are using it, what changes need to be made. We manage people, we bring them on, we target them, we identify new talent and bring them in. We coach the talent we have, and we do performance management. At the same time, at the end of it, when we have projects, we deploy them and we do release management, and we make sure they're adopted well. So we sometimes send out consultants there to help there as well. This is the whole IT environment. And what I see is we get it out of balance. Why? Well, I see a lot of people looking to make things better. So what they do is they grab this one-size-fits-all template, which typically focuses mostly on the new development, whether that's Agile, whatever it is. And the focus is all there. It's like a shiny object that especially non-IT managers are attracted to, because it's got new words and it looks shiny and good. But it's always been that way, that we've always had a combination of new and now. And what I see is that if the focus is too much here, the other areas of the organization say, well, are we important anymore? Because no one talks about us. And that's my point. Let me give you a suggestion on how I would address that if I were you. I have a client of mine who took one of the top jobs at Toyota and Lexus. He was responsible for building the first Lexus plant outside Japan. And when he retired, we were working on a leadership seminar together. And in that context of the discussions, he told me this, and it always stuck with me. It was the secret of how they succeed. He said, remember, it's not the targets, it's the daily improvements. Remember, it's not the targets, it's the daily improvements. He said, Toyota, to be successful, they have targets, absolutely, but their focus isn't there. Their focus is on the changes in the daily and weekly activities that if they do those, they'll always reach their targets. That's the key. So that's the key to their success. And how do we do that in the IT environment? Let's bring it back. So here's all our environment. And now we're not just looking at targets. You need to look at daily actions and behaviors. And what you do is you say, what does that look like in each of these areas? Whether that's consulting, do you have to do it in a more timely manner? Do we have to push back into the business unit to get them to really make decisions earlier so that they can come into a new project more effectively and we can deliver outcomes more effectively? Intake, same thing. Do we have to develop an Agile, the DevOps, all those things? What changes, what do we need to see differently on a daily and weekly basis to make this more effective? Optimization, all those things, monitoring, managing, release and adoption. what we need to do is identify a few behaviors in each one of these areas. And then the whole organization lifts as one. And they're all valued. That's my point. And that's the balance you need to see and you need to have. So if you think about it, does this work? Well, I once fixed an IT organization, part of a $2.3 billion healthcare network. We did all those step 4 behaviors and all those various, as I mentioned. We also did leadership. And if you think about that, that's kind of unstructured. But we identified 10 things that we wanted leaders, senior leaders, to develop competencies in. Take the Toyota Lexus approach. We didn't say arrive there. What we said is, if we do these things, these few behaviors on a monthly basis for each one of these 10 areas, you'll develop those competencies and you'll become a good leader. Let's focus our attention. They're all accountable. They didn't get a raise without doing these few behaviors. Didn't take a lot of time, but they're all important in terms of developing leadership competencies. What happened? Well, the IT organization as a whole went from having the lowest employee satisfaction scores in the organization to having record-breaking employee satisfaction scores for 4 years running. 10 years later, the leaders that we took this through and developed this with and held them accountable for, they're the top leaders in the organization. When the hospital network buys and acquires a new hospital and they want to integrate that hospital into their environment, their system, they took one of the leaders that we did this with to project manage that integration. They're the best leaders in the organization now. So does this work? Absolutely. So for you to bring balance to your leadership, your unique situation needs to be reflected in not just a one-size-fits-all framework, but in step-forward behaviors in all these different areas, because they're all important. And everyone needs to feel that they are contributing and their function is important. That's how a good leader acts. So do that. We'll talk about how you do that more specifically over the next few weeks. And this is so exciting. I love to talk about this. Links will be smgknowledge.com/dx. So thanks for spending these few minutes with me, and I look forward to seeing you again.